Have you ever been in a dressing room where it does feel like you're at the end of a window or at the end of a cycle and people are trying to move on or trying to maneuver their way out? Have you got any examples of what it's been like in a dressing room like that?
Well, I can remember Andy Carroll going to Liverpool. It was unbelievable. We were sitting there in Tottenham and Liverpool were literally going toe to toe, and he ends up going to Liverpool. Um, Everyone sort of trying to find out where Andy Carroll was, and he was at my house sitting there, and and his agent there, and he was a good friend of mine, and they were sitting there going, well, Tottenham for that one or that, and Andy didn't want to go. Andy didn't want to leave, but Mike Ashley and Derek Lambias, they were like, "No, we've accepted the offer. You need to go, so pick one." And obviously, you pick Liverpool. So yeah, that was the strangest thing for me because I was sitting on the opposite couch thinking, "I wish that was me." If I was going to Liverpool, but he deserved the move at that moment. He did. He really did. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as well as it did, but yeah, it is strange. Like the next 20, well, yeah, I don't even think it's 24 hours now, but um, it's going to be very strange over the next 12 hours or so. Even certainly for us, because League One clubs, how it all goes down and how it all filters down is it's incredible to see. So, but yeah, one that why we're all involved and why we love.
That's so fascinating because I remember working that night. That was the night where the sort of merry-go-round happened, right? Because Torres went to Chelsea
Yeah.
and Carroll went from Newcastle to Liverpool. Huge opportunity for him. I mean, you say everyone was looking for him. And no one knew that he was in your house, so they were like sending cameras round everywhere. Was anyone sort of poking through the window trying to find out? Were you having
Yeah.
to sort of hide your phone because you didn't want to text anyone? And
No,
did you
no.
convince him to go to Liverpool over Tottenham?
Well, Sam, let's not go there, mate. Come on. I was saying Liverpool's the one, definitely, obviously. But yeah, no, yeah. Look, luckily enough, I had a long drive, so they couldn't get to see him from the gates. But no, they didn't know where he was. And yeah, he chose Liverpool from what he wanted to do, and yeah, it was such a surreal day when you look back and think of it. But at the moment, when you're in it, you don't think anything of it. I was just disappointed because I'd lost my mate, had lost a partner in crime in terms of on and off the pitch, and we were really good on the pitch. Yeah, and I feel like if we would have kept that team, we would have been, a team to sort of challenge. But it wasn't to be, and I was delighted for Andy moving to such a fantastic football club.
And I suppose that there are direct parallels here because Newcastle had a big number 9 who they revered and wanted to keep, and you lost a partner, and now Newcastle may well lose a number 9 on deadline day in this window, and Anthony Gordon is going to lose a partner, and that will disrupt things at Newcastle. How close do you think that is to happening? You've been telling me all week you're sort of up in the air, 65, 60% sure that it will happen. What is your percentage as we sit here the night before the deadline?
Well, it's a good comparison, isn't it? Other than that, I seem to recall the Liverpool interest in Andy Carroll was not as public as the Liverpool interest in Alexander Isak has been. And it was way back in July, wasn't it, when he refused to go on the pre-season tour, sat out with what was billed at the time as a minor thigh issue. And then literally as Liverpool were on the plane, that was when we first started, as Newcastle on the plane, that was when we first started to get whispers of the fact that actually he wanted to move. And then he stopped using their training facilities, hasn't trained with the first team since, has basically gone on strike and refused to play. All the while, Liverpool have had one bid rejected. They haven't made a second bid. There's been talk that maybe they'll have to pay as much as £130 million. I'd be surprised if the number gets that high. And I think it's all dependent on what Newcastle can do in terms of replacement. They've signed Nick Voltemada, who is going to be the Isak replacement, but that means they still haven't replaced Callum Wilson, who left the club. So they are short of numbers up front. They're trying to address that. Looks like Johan Wisser is going to stay at Brentford. That's our latest information.
Despite the fact that he feels as if he's being held captive?
No, yeah, but I think Brentford are pushing back on the fact any promises were made, similar to what Newcastle have said actually about Alexander Isak. And then you've got Jorgen Strand Larsen thrown into the equation. So there are dominoes that need to fall. But I think the fact Liverpool haven't got a plan B, and I think they are still short in attack when you look at the fact they've sold Diaz and they've sold Darwin Nunez as well. That's what makes me think this deal will happen. And also, I'm tending to agree with what Stuart Pearce said on game day on Saturday. It's very difficult because Isak has taken such drastic action. He's released a statement. He's refused to play. It's difficult to see how you saw that situation out with Eddie Howe.
Yeah, but they pushed back on that. The boys on the Game Day Live program today, Perry Groves and Scott Minto, they said, and I know Troy Deeney said the same thing as what was said to you previously in the week, that there's no way back for him. He can't do it. Stuart Pearce and Troy are of the view that you've quit on us, so you can't come back into that dressing room. But actually, Scott Minto and Perry Groves were more of the opinion. Actually, do you know what? If he comes back in and we've got a great A-grade player who can certainly contribute to what we're doing, and it will only take a couple of training sessions or a couple of goals, and all of a sudden we'll all be mates again. Kevin, how would you see it if he decided to stay at Newcastle?
I don't think any of the lads will be bothered. I'll be honest with you. I don't think they will. I think he'll walk back into the. Well, obviously they've been talking, chatting. They'll have WhatsApp groups, all that now. Even in my time, going into that point, even when you're pushing for a move or whatever it is, you walk back into the dressing room and the lads are just the lads. They're just there to work. And if you've got one of the best strikers in the world coming back into your group, you're not going to start worrying about falling out with him because he wanted to leave Newcastle, because that's football. That's just how it is. He wants to go and he believes that he can go to Liverpool and be the better, be better and do the best thing he possibly can and win trophies and everything else. Now, all the Newcastle fans, and look, I've been there, will believe that they've given them the opportunity to do that in the Premier League. But what I'd say is that the players will just be, yeah, you're back in, let's get on with it, let's move on, and let's go. And that's where I firmly believe it would be.